We are learning more about the war with Iran as the State Department continues to warn Americans abroad to get to safety. This morning, we heard from Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Joint Chiefs Chair General Dan Caine. It comes as we are learning about continued U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iranian targets. They were asked about what is being done to help Americans trying to flee the region, as well as whether we could see U.S. boots on the ground.
Well, I'm not going to comment on U.S. boots on the ground. I think that's a question for policymakers, and I don't make policy, I execute policy. I will say, but on the question in the back corner about helping Americans get out, first, it's a great opportunity to encourage everybody in the region to go to the State Department and register. Secretary Rubio's been trying to get that word out, and I'd ask you to help us with that, to have folks register. We've also opened up space available seats as C-17s and other airplanes come in to try to help folks get out. But that's really a State Department matter. But to answer your question, that's what we've been doing.
For more on this, CBS News chief correspondent Matt Gutman joins us now from Tel Aviv. Matt, thank you so much for joining us. You've been reporting on some of the difficulties, and difficulties is really the word that Americans and others have been facing as they try to leave the region. And, you know, this is happening as you yourself are trying to work and there are air raid sirens going off and you have to seek shelter. Just set the scene for us and tell us a bit what it's like to work in this region and what Americans abroad are facing.
I mean, I only laugh because it seems that the rocket sirens, the missile sirens come at only the most inopportune times, just as we're about to go on camera and have to go inside. 6:30 in the morning, everybody's exhausted. And I think that's one of the reasons that the Iranians have kept this schedule. It is to inflict, if you can inflict maximum harm, at least disruption. And that is across the region. There are many millions of people, including up to 1 million Americans who've been caught in this conflict zone, many of whom, thousands of whom, want to get out. So, and I think two things are true right now, and I think that the State Department and General Caine are correct. They are now trying to help. They are actively working on it. But until now, they haven't really. And the travelers that we've spoken to who've been stuck here in Doha, in Dubai, they say, well, we did register. We reached out to the embassy, and the embassy said, sorry, we can't directly help you. Like, that's actually what is written in the messages, people getting phone calls saying that. And so they have to fend for themselves. And we spoke to this one woman, Kelly, who was visiting her family not far from here. She had to take a bus, then a train to the Egyptian border. That was 6 hours, stay overnight, cross, then fly to Athens, then Munich, back to Chicago, where she has a 2-year-old, and she's 23 weeks pregnant with twins. So people are facing some real challenges getting out here. That trip, by the way, will take her 2.5 days. Again, Secretary of State, they say that they are working on it. They will bring in not only military charter jets, those planes, those C-17s they mentioned, but also regular commercial charter craft as well. But it's going to be slow because think about it. We've been on air with you. We've had missiles going that way from U.S. warships towards Iran, missiles coming this way from Iran towards Israel. They're drones, warplanes, fueling tankers crisscrossing the sky. So to get those planes, to get people out of here, those charter planes, that's going to take a lot of coordination and a lot of deconfliction, and it'll be probably more a trickle than a roaring river or stream of planes ferrying people out of here.
Matt, explain for us how charter planes fly into the region and land in these countries that are also facing missile attacks from Iran? Or is the plan to land the charters in other countries that are outside of this area and have people try to get there by roads?
Kelly, I think that's a great question. I don't know if anybody knows that right now. I mean, what we saw here in Israel, at least, is that people are being advised to go to Egypt, which has airports that are functioning and don't have that issue of deconfliction, right? You don't have Israeli jets, American jets flying overhead, missiles. They don't have that issue. But there are other places in the Gulf where people are stuck. You can't get in or out unless it's by plane. And they're going to have to work with Israel and the U.S. to ensure that planes that do come in can do so safely, and then they can leave safely, and nobody mistakes them for a bad actor or a foreign jet, or God forbid that any sort of mistake is made. So that's why it'll probably be a very slow and steady thing rather than like a big airlift of folks out of here.
Right.
Yeah. Matt, during my time as a correspondent in Jerusalem, one of the things that I got to witness firsthand was the remarkable Iron Dome. We understand now from the Defense Secretary and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff this morning that the United States, along with Israel, have selected targets inside Iran, the goal, as you know, being to destroy Iran's ballistic missile capability. The secretary indicated that that is on track, but then some of these missiles are still occasionally getting through, as we saw a couple of days ago when civilians were killed inside of Israel. What more can you tell us about that?
What we understand is that right now the pace of those missiles coming in has slowed. We had 3 or 4 sirens today, and the number of missiles fired at each salvo is lower. And there are a couple of reasons for that. One, a lot of those Iranian missiles have been destroyed by the U.S. and Israel. 2, they've also destroyed a lot of those launchers. I understand that they're down by 50%, should be 70, 80%, I'm told, by the end of the week. That makes a significant difference. Also, Iran watches TV. They see what President Trump has been saying, and President has been forecasting a 4 to 5 week-long war. And Iran, I'm told, is trying to preserve its stockpiles and not fire massive salvos like we saw earlier last year of dozens and dozens at a time. And by the way, when they do fire those huge salvos of dozens of missiles, that's when many of those missiles can sort of squirt through, as Secretary Hegseth has said, and cause that monumental damage. But with 1, 2, 3 fired at the same time, they don't get through as much, and it causes much less havoc here. By the way, for the first time today, we had missiles coming in from 2 angles, one from Iran and others coming from Lebanon, north of where we are. It was the first time that Iran and Hezbollah had timed and coordinated their attacks since this war began. Again, Israel opening up another front, or Hezbollah opening up another front in Lebanon. Israel now moving troops into the southern part of that country to try to control Hezbollah and limit those rocket and missile attacks.
A lot of strain also on the Israeli military. The region is just, I don't even know what to say, honestly, Vlad.
I mean, it's inflamed right now.
I mean, we have never seen anything like this, guys.
Right.
It's in flames, and never in history have so many countries in the Middle East been involved in the same conflict at the same time. It's never happened, right? It is spreading quickly. We also saw a missile fired from Iran towards Turkey. Turkey's a NATO ally. We've seen drones fired from Hezbollah at Cyprus, at a British base there. There are a lot of countries involved here, and this thing is spreading. A U.S. submarine took down a Iranian warship off the coast of Sri Lanka. So this thing is growing. There is no doubt about that at this point.
Yeah, and you know, Matt, to that end, the question, of course, would be for us, what diplomatic steps are being taken by the Israelis and the United States to engage with these partners in the region as this spirals into a wider war? Because that is the exact opposite of what the United States and Israel wants.
Yeah, the president has said that he is willing to talk. We don't know if he has yet reached out or responded to Iranian requests to talk. We don't know when that'll happen. I assume that the president is continuing on with the war. That's what he said he will do. So to our knowledge, there are no diplomatic efforts going on right now. Things may be happening behind closed doors that we don't know about. There is always sort of backdoor diplomacy, but not public yet.
All right.
Matt, thank you so much.